chosen, broken, protection, and given for the mission in kingdom. Solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul, the apostles. My dear friends, Saint Peter and Paul, they were the pillars of the church, we call. Because their roles were different, but then they did a tremendous service in building the church. Their service is intertwined, though they are different in their nature. And Saint Peter was God said in the Gospel, Matthew chapter 16, verse 16 onwards, you are the rock. So the rock is a static, stable, certain thing which does not move. So on the rock, the church is built, isn't it? So Peter became the rock. And St. Paul in Acts chapter 9, Jesus said to Ananias, he's going to be a vessel which takes the grace of God to the pagans. So Peter, when he became the rock, which is certain and stable, Paul became the motion, the moving aspect of the church. So Paul was always in a journey because he's the vessel. Vessel is not a tank. Vessel is meant to take the grace. Take the grace. And the beauty of those two people, the way they chose them. Peter was a fisherman, an ignorant person, and also he always jumped the gun, hasty decisions, and he was wavering, not certain in what he said. But then St. Paul, on the other hand, he was a Pharisee, a student of Gamaliel, and he knew his Greek, and he had Roman citizen, and he was so stern and stubborn in his vision, because he was so strongly rooted in Mosaic law. And that very strength became the weakness. That's exactly why St. Paul is saying in Philippians chapter 2, verse 6 onwards, what the privileges I had became weak points of my life, he said. That's exactly what happened, isn't it? But in the same time, with his knowledge, understanding, mind is very deceptive, isn't it? So he was persecuting the church, and Jesus asked, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? So that was his weakness. And his weakness, he continuously spoke about it. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7 onwards, a dagger in the flesh. In Romans chapter 7, verse 9, verse 15 onwards, he spoke about, I do what I don't want to do. What a wretched person I am. So this was his weakness. Ongoing struggle in his mission. Peter, though he was weak, he had a good heart, wanted to give his whole life to the Lord. But then he was weak, fragile. Jesus knew that he's going to reject him 3 times, negate him 3 times. And Jesus said, and Peter did so. And then in Luke chapter 22, verse 31, you read and see, the Lord is saying to Peter that the devil will use you, but I will pray for you that your faith won't be shaken. The devil is going to use him. So this was their background. They are chosen. They are chosen with a mission. And they were broken. St. Paul was broken when he knew that he is persecuting the Lord. Peter cried aloud when Jesus looked at him after rejecting Jesus 3 times. Chosen And they were broken of their egos, because Peter said, I will never betray you, Lord. I will never forsake you. And Paul thought he is the man, isn't it? Chosen, broken, protection. We find in the first reading and second reading how they were protected. They were enchained in prison, and many times even Peter was saved. And today St. Paul is saying that he protected me. He safeguarded me from all the dangers. And they were given for the mission of the kingdom. My dear friends, they teach us this lesson. Peter, the Lord said, Peter, you are blessed because it's not you, but by the Lord said, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and never will the powers of death overcome it. I will give you the keys of kingdom of heaven. Whatever you build on earth shall be built in heaven. Whatever you unbind on earth shall be unbound in heaven. My dear friends, that is the mission that Jesus gave him. And Paul says during his career that I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Now there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, with which the Lord, the just judge, will reward me. On that day, not only me, but all those who have longed for this glorious coming. My dear friends, so that's how they were given their life for the mission. Not with their thinking, not with their understanding. They had their own kingdoms in their own extremes. They were crushed, chosen and broken, and given and protected. After breaking them, Jesus protected them for a mission. But then they both died in the same time, the same era, time of Nero. In Rome, they were persecuted. St. Peter was crucified, and St. Paul was beheaded. And their blood, their life became the pillars of the church. Today we celebrate them together. That is the very reason. Peter and Paul, church which is stable on a rock, and also which is immovable like a vessel. The grace is flown. These both the aspect, the Petrine aspect and Pauline element. Petrine element and Pauline element is of great significance in the church. In ourselves also, we have to be stable like Peter. We have to base our life on the rock. In the same time, we have to be a vessel which take that grace into other people. God has chosen, the Lord who chose Peter and Paul will choose you also, and He will break you of your own ego, your static, rigid stubbornness, and He will protect you. Only not you, but He will protect you, and He will given you for the mission in the kingdom. We'll all have a mission to accomplish. So let's check. Do we have that content, that happiness, the fulfillment which Paul had in his life? To say, I have fought a good fight. So it's a fight always, my dear friends. Fight with the grace of God. Fight in connection. We cannot stop this fight until we die. Learn from Peter and Paul. Pray to them so that we will be strong in our mission without any frustration or discouragement. Amen. May God bless you.